Wondrous Tree Fellowship and the PoCo Arts Council are partners with me in the project. We do have the other community partners here as a support today, but they've been partners since the beginning and in the application process. So there's a lot of work that went in from both Nancy and Karla. So I'd like Karla to introduce herself and as well the vision for the structure. Karla is the mind behind our structure that we're going to be putting our hearts on.
My name is Priscilla Omulo. I'm a Tsartlip First Nation, which is from Vancouver Island, near Victoria. I've been living on the unceded territory of Quatsino First Nation, which is in Port Coquitlam, shared territory of Kakite and Keetsi. I've been a visitor here for just over 10 years, on and off a bit. About a year and a half ago, I started weaving with Leonard Williams. He taught me how to make a cedar woven hat, and then this headband. And then when I seen other work that he was doing, and I seen BC Culture Days, I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to kind of work more closer together with Leonard. And so I did an application for him to be my mentor and do some more weaving. And actually I look at it as more work as well. I think the other weaving I've been doing, once I was doing other art projects, I was weaving but doing it in my own kind of abstract way. I wanted to learn more of like the traditional aspects of harvesting and preparing cedar for different projects. With Earth Endeavors, I thought it was a really good opportunity to kind of bridge together some of the activism and social justice work that I do, the art, and as well the community building. So I had proposed, if I was to be an ambassador, that I would want to specifically do Earth Endeavors because as an Indigenous person, I've grown up knowing that we take care of the land and that it takes care of us. You know, we think of the next 7 generations and that we need to only take as much as we need and leave the rest. And so that's really tying in with the cedar weaving and cedar work, is that you don't kind of make trees bald and leave nothing for anyone else, and for the tree to live, you know. And so I wanted to create a project where I would learn more about cedar weaving and then share that with the community, but tie it into the environmental piece, you know, being able to say that to build reconciliation, we need to understand Indigenous pedagogy, Indigenous way of being, and how that ties to the environment. Bringing in all of the partners that we brought in, the Wondrous Tree Fellowship and PoCo Arts, but as well Amnesty and, you know, Burke Mountain and the other partners talking about their work, was saying, this is what people are doing in the community, and so what are they doing now to tie that to reconciliation, because their work is a part of reconciliation. Putting that in people's heads that they do actually go together was really a big part of the goal of this project, is weaving it together. So weaving our way towards reconciliation with environment in mind and sustainability in mind is how we came up with the name. Even is just kind of, it was what we were doing.
Stick with the blade on it. I think the band's ready.
If you grab a pair of scissors, or preferably an X-Acto knife, and you just slice a little bit off of the top here, and then all you do is pull. Now, I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife and I'm going to show you in a second. So the cool thing about cedar is that because it's off of because the tree bark has layers, right? That you can actually work with the layers to make it as thick or thin as you need it to be. So some of these pieces I didn't get to finish because you don't want this brown part, right? So what you do is all you need to do is just make it so it's sliced a bit in half, because then it's just gonna peel. So if you just pull, it's so easy to pull apart, and then you have these pieces. Now this piece is still a bit thick, so you can even do it again. So I'll just show you some examples. And then you pull, and it'll make it even thinner. So the thinner it is, the finer, like it'll be easier to kind of pull together, because what you're using today was thicker, and so it's harder to like do the folds under and over each other. Yesterday, I think, flowed really well. I mean, we knew we wanted to have bannock and tea because, for one, it's an Indigenous way of being that you offer people something to eat when you're having a gathering. We wanted to have the community partners have tables so we could get information about what they're doing, and then people to be weaving hearts. So it's a smaller project, so it's easy to do within a time frame. And so it would be something we could add to a larger structure. And it fits really well with the messaging that we're all bringing our heart into this. And so it just flowed really well where people got there. We went for a tree walk with James, which I think is such a gift in itself, because James is so knowledgeable about, trees and plants and life and just everything that's around us in our day-to-day living we may not think about. And so folks got to kind of get connected to the land before we got the event started. Kind of grounding, I guess.
I'll end with this. People might not think trees are political, but they are. Because, when you think about our urban environments, development in our neighborhoods, development in our cities, we know with climate change and what's happening all around us, that these big trees are super important. And so we really have to do the best we can to retain these trees. Because really, we've talked about all the services they provide us, how much we need them. And you talk about trees in a forest, and you can place a value on a tree in a forest. But when you take that tree and you put it in an urban environment, when you think about the shade, when you think about the pollution that it absorbs, when you think about water retention, all those things, that tree now becomes magnified by about 10 times the value of what that tree is doing for us right here where we live.
My name is Nancy Furness, and I'm with the Wondrous Tree Fellowship. And we're a group of community members that are really passionate about the environment, and especially about the role that big trees play in our community. Our goal is to kind of raise awareness and appreciation throughout the Tri-Cities as to all the important roles that trees play in the environment. And I think we've seen with COVID, the recent pandemic, how important it is to get out into nature, and how trees are good for both our mental health as well as our physical health. And also with climate change, we're seeing heat domes and places where we need trees, the ecological services that trees provide, like keeping our hot cities cool, producing oxygen, and taking up carbon, as well as water management strategy and wildlife habitat. So lots of our sort of events and projects center around raising awareness and appreciation for trees.
So the structure is all made out of completely organic materials. It's all things that have come from trails in and around Port Coquitlam, from my garden while I was, cleaning up. The white sage came from an apartment building that I work in that is for single moms, and is part of the Indigenous plantings that they put in the garden. The women there really wanted that to be a part of it. When I shared the project that what we were working on, they were all really excited and wanted to share a piece of something from them as well, which I just thought was really wonderful because it's good medicine.
Creator, grandmothers, and grandfathers, the four sacred directions, we thank you for bringing us here together today. We thank you for making us strong and for giving us the courage and wisdom to be able to do this work together, for bringing us into each other's lives to be able to do this work, to share with community what it really means to build reconciliation out of truth, and that we hope that this structure and this education and this moment of sharing and having it go into this reflection space where it says to honor and to heal will bring healing to this community that's needed and wanted and deserved, for the women who deserve justice, for the families who deserve truth and honor, and for the community that deserves the healing and growth and strength. We thank you for giving us the materials that were brought to us to create this structure, to give us the knowledge to build the community, and we hope that it continues good work even long after we are gone. Thank you.
I really thought about each piece as I was picking it out, whether it was for texture and color, or it was because it would be food for small animals, something that insects and bugs and that would enjoy as well. It's why at the last minute I grabbed a couple of sunflowers to add this morning, just so that it was there for more food.
Tell me a little bit about the addition of people weaving, putting their woven pieces into that.
Oh yes, that was really exciting actually. Yesterday after the teachings, after Priscilla taught them all, as much as they really wanted to take that with them, they also really wanted it to be a part of it. Everybody that was there understood what we were trying to do, how we were trying to bring people together. Such like-minded souls, and they all wanted to know that they had made a contribution towards reconciliation by working and honoring Indigenous ways, and then for it to go back to nature.
We had a wonderful discussion when we built the structure with the partner organizations who were having booths the day before the event. And a part of that discussion was around reconciliation for the city, for them as partners, and for the community, and what we wanted the overall messaging to be on Sunday, so yesterday. And some of that messaging was that we do need to have a level of accountability and transparency with what it means to be a resident here and a visitor here in the city of Port Coquitlam. Knowing that Port Coquitlam is the home, and where we are right now is very nearby, farm, knowing that a majority of the murdered women were Indigenous, and that these families deserve justice, they deserve to have their voices heard, they deserve to have reconciliation, not just justice through the justice system. We were thinking about something that would be meaningful for the community to come back to. Something that really said a message about the need for reconciliation here in Port Coquitlam, when we can't deny our history. Because it's funny, I was proposing this art project about the 7 stages of grief and colonization to reconciliation. That's the whole project. I want to do a 7-piece series of the 7 stages of grief. And I was thinking about this as I'm typing it, and I'm thinking about this project, and I'm just like, going back, and right now Port Coquitlam feels like it's in the 1st stage of grief. It's in denial because there isn't that transparency with what's happened here. We can't just get over it. We can't just say it didn't happen. We can't just say that these lives are not altered because of the history here. It's not about blaming, it's not about shaming, it's about an acknowledgement of harms done, just like you do when you go to any other monument at, say, a residential school right now. So it's about being able to truthfully say that we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We need to make sure that we build a community that's safe for everyone, that we recognize that reconciliation isn't just the government's job, that people are mourning as a community, that people are impacted as a community, and we want to give a space for people to reflect on that. And again, going back to reconciliation and the environment and UNDRIP, the United Declarations of Rights of Indigenous People, Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action, In Plain Sight report about anti-Indigenous racism in the medical field, police brutality towards Indigenous people. All of this is tied together in how we live as a community and how Indigenous people who are treated here on this land. And so coming to Blakeburn Lagoon and coming to this particular location behind this bench was meaningful because we wanted people to reflect and honor and heal, just as the messaging says on the bench, to reflect on the history and the impacts, to honor the lives of Indigenous folks who are here and who've been lost, and to heal together as a community. Because there is no truth, there's no reconciliation without truth. And we need to acknowledge that truth. And I don't think everyone has yet.
What I've learned about reconciliation from going from zero to where I am now, which is still very much in a learning process. I've got a long ways to go, and I have to keep reminding myself and keep being aware. But I think what I've learned is that reconciliation is really about building respectful and meaningful relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, to recognize that we have a lot of common ground. We both, for Priscilla and I personally, we both have a strong respect and love of natural spaces and nature, and I think I think for reconciliation, it's weaving all of those aspects together, as well as not just stopping there, but also taking action. So going forward and taking meaningful action, like for example, the event that happened yesterday, to raise awareness with the community and to start really working together and appreciating and learning about each other.
Was there anything that surprised you so far in this, about your whole experience in this?
I think just how excited people were. I know I get excited, but just to see people in the community who I haven't met before come and say, this was great, I really enjoyed it, I want to learn more, I want to follow up and keep me posted on this or that, or when are you going to do this again? Those kind of questions and statements show that there is a desire in the community to do this work and to get somewhere with reconciliation as a community. And I feel like that shouldn't have been surprising, but it just is. It just is. And so that helped me feel more included in the community as well, because it does get a little lonely sometimes. With the project and the structure, it's beautiful that it's all sustainable, that it's all going to break down and be given back to the earth. It's not just beautiful because environmentally we think that's how we want to leave our footprint. You know, we get excited that we want things to just go back and give back and grow and give back. But to me, that's also a part of the healing, is that when you're able to break everything down, like when you decolonize and things, that's breaking down structures that are toxic, structures that are this foundation that just stay, and even though they're harmful, you can't penetrate them. They're like plastic in the ocean, they just linger. But to decolonize something, I feel like this is showing that when you go back to this knowledge of wanting to break things down, give it back to the earth, and then it rebuilds and grows into something else. That's the message that I'm hoping people will take from that this is a visual representation of what indigenization, decolonization, and reconciliation can look like through art, through community, through environment in itself. And to have BC Culture Days be so excited and so willing to be a part of that, and to be able to give us the space to be able to do that, I'm very thankful for it. And for the community partners like Wondrous Tree Fellowship and PoCo Arts and Tri-Cities Community TV to be able to say, yes, we're not afraid of being leaders in this, was also very, humbling for me to say, I'm not alone. So I'm very grateful for everyone who's been like, let's do this. Or Indigenous language, Skodan.
Nice, great.